So welcome, guys. Tell me a little bit about yourselves and what your biz is.
We are Figgy Co, and we are Aimme and Jane.
Hello.
And we are specialists in natural cleaning supplies.
Yep.
So we help you reduce the chemicals in your home when it comes to cleaning your home.
Yep, absolutely. We are like fundamentally believe it's what you do every day that counts. It's those patterns and behaviors. And so we've really zoned in on everyday cleaners that have much reduced chemical burdens, chemical loads, because we think like with less chemicals in our home and our home environment, we're all better off for it because we spend so much time there, right?
Yeah, 100%. So Figgy Co is a massive part of my life, as you guys know, and our lives here in the office as well. So what motivated you guys to get started?
Well, we're both from health backgrounds. Jane and I worked together. We were both paramedics prior to there ever being anything remotely close to Figgy Co. Jane's always been quite DIY, quite green focused. She's got such good knowledge base. And I came from a different kind of household where we just walked down the supermarket aisle and bought whatever was brightest and cheapest, and without giving it much thought. But we both had good knowledge of the human body. And so then when we had children about the same time, one of my children had really bad eczema, and Jane said, why don't you make your own laundry powder? Like that just might help the balance a bit. Yeah. So from there, we kind of played with a bit more recipes and ingredients and making a broader range beyond the laundry powder. But we were finding it really hard to get all the supplies that we needed for like truly pared back cleaners easily. And so
at a good price, say like you'd have to go all around town with 3 o'clock screaming baby in the back.
To make multiple stops to get everything you needed. And literally over a cup of tea, Jane was like,
there's got to be a better way.
Yeah,
it's got to be more convenient than this, because otherwise your best made plans, you just end up not doing it because it's just too hard, goes in the too hard basket. And yet, the idea of having a safer home environment is so important. It should be, you've got to make it accessible so people stick to it.
Yeah,
or have the ability to stick to it.
Yeah, 100%. We all just seem to be becoming more and more time poor.
And so that's right. And so people can offer convenience, but it's often at a trade-off. So you are giving something away for that. So it might be a higher chemical load because you have to do less cleaning, or fast food's a great example. So it's convenient, but it's not nutritious. So it was like, okay, how can we get this right for people that they are cutting down their chemicals, but it's easy as well?
Yeah.
Get it delivered to your door.
Yeah. Yeah. We wanted to be the helpers, to solve the problem.
Was it scary, like going into business together? Obviously, coming at things from a friendship perspective, because I guess it's a common situation people find themselves in where, you've got an idea maybe with a friend or a family member or something like that, and then taking that step and going into business together. Obviously, there can be massive risks in doing that.
Yeah, I think we were lucky in a way because we were already work colleagues in a different sense. So we trained together, we worked for the same organisation. So we kind of already had a history of being collegial with each other. And in a work environment that was focused on problem solving, because when you work as a paramedic, you go to a job, there's a patient that needs to be assessed and treated and transported, and in amongst that matrix always comes up lots of things, problems that need to be solved. So we came from a working background where we were solutions driven. Yeah, and so that actually, more than you might think, transferred into starting a business. Oh, but she'll be right, we'll get through it. We'll just, one step at a time. But I mean, there was a large amount of faith. We'll just give it a go. But ignorance is bliss. But also I would add to that being a paramedic is very linear in a sense, in that you've got one job in front of you at a time. Like, you have to have a wide knowledge base, but you're pretty much applying it in a linear fashion, where here it's like, I feel like we've got so many tabs open, we have got so many little projects going, like in a way it's actually it's more problem solving. It can be quite
chaotic to choose. I guess it's like triaging.
It is. Who's getting the care first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess then one of the key elements for you guys will be really good communication and managing that type of thing. Do you have any, I guess, formal systems in place around, you know, monthly meetings or anything like that you guys do? Or is it just because you're always around, it's just always communication stations?
Yeah, we don't have a fight night like some couples have. Like, we don't need that.
No,
Yeah.
I think the communication as a rule is more just ongoing, ad hoc. We're always working together, and sometimes, like, I've come to learn that, particularly for Jane, because she is more creative than me. Just letting it go, letting it be present gives her room, you know, and then she can be like, I've just had an idea. Whereas I would naturally like things to be more structured, but I'm learning to teach myself, actually, for our duo, that's not the best, most productive way to be. She needs like space to be creative, so let it happen.
I love a good tangent.
That's probably a good
think
balance, though, and probably how you've found that synergy between you guys is having each other to both balance that out and to go away and say, hey, okay, you can take care of that and go and be creative over there, and I'll make sure that logistics are organised over here, because that's very linear in process. So it makes it a natural decision.
Yeah, that is so true. But, and also, like, when we first started, we were super busy new mums and we were time poor, and so like a foundation was empathy. Like, we're always very empathetic with each other, you know. So part of the communication when problems come up or need to be solved either on a business or a family level or whatever, it starts with just that empathy of just giving someone the space to be their best. You're not judging. Like, the communication is what it is. It might be a bit titchy one day, but you've probably just had like a really like tough night at home or what. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and
we don't take anything personally.
No,
like,
and I think there's
no baggage.
Yeah, and I would add to that there's huge value, like, just in honesty. And what I mean by that is it's actually very easy to come into the office and say, I've had a terrible night, I've had no sleep, I'm probably not myself today. And it's like, okay, we all know where everything is at. Whereas,
I'll put the kettle on.
Yeah. Whereas it's actually quite easy. And I know I've had other working relationships in the past where that level of communication isn't there. And it's like, that's all it takes is that
give you that space.
That little sentence of honesty of where you're at.
Yeah.
Can solve so many problems, you know, down the track.
I think so.
Sounds amazing relationship. I'm going to come and hang out with you guys.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
How did you guys name Figgy Co? I don't think I know the answers to this, actually, do I?
Oh, it's such a funny wee story. When we found, like, once we had the idea that we were going to start a business, we wanted a, you know, like a fun kind of name that didn't have any greenwashing associated with it, was easy to remember, easy to spell, all. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if it was because we were running on not much sleep at the time, with all the little bubs at home, but we could not think of anything, and we racked our brains. And anyway, as a side project, I used to do some sewing, and kind of to zhuzh it up a little bit, I got these little woven labels made, and the little name I put on that was Figgy, because it was like just fun and light. It was just a word that rolled off the tongue and I liked it. And then Amy said, well, would it be okay if we use that? Because I like that. And I was like, well, I like that too. And I'm like, well, would that be okay? And it just,
So officially, I guess it's Figgy and Co.
And Co, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. It's cute.
Yeah, and I think too, like, just touching on what you said about having a name that stands alone, was really important, at least for me, in naming the business, because I like to think of, for our brand moving forward, that we will just be synonymous with natural cleaning one day, much like, you know, McDonald's is a name for fast food. It actually doesn't say anything about burgers or fries or chips, but everybody knows what McDonald's
Zero
is.
accounting, you know, all of those sorts of things that are just a name.
That's a much healthier example, Sarah.
Well, they've got the challenge of spelling too. They went out on a real limb there in getting brand recognition.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you guys want to be when you grew up? just as a
I wanted to be a forensic pathologist, believe it or not.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
it's probably quite easy to believe. Yeah, I love all of that kind of stuff. I love the problem solving, the detail. I love human anatomy, the human body. I love a good, who done it. Just
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I know what you watch and read already.
yeah, like I even like when I was in 4th form, I went and did work experience at the local funeral parlor. I went and visited the morgue, just the whole lot. And then I got to like 5th form, and I was in the hostel, and it was a bit tricky at home, and I went and saw the guidance counselor, and she was like, oh yeah, you're looking at like 12 years of study after high school. And I was like, I can't do it. And now it never got explained to me properly that you do your 3 years, and then you do another 3 years working in the hospital, and then you would go on to more training after that. Like, I think guidance counsellors have upped their game since then. But yeah.
Look, I went through wanting to be like such a huge range of things. Like as a young teenager, I wanted to be like the woman behind the Clinique brand. They all with those white coats and red lipstick, like very girl. Then I wanted to be an air hostess. Then I wanted to be a lawyer. I mean, I've gone through everything. But as I got older, I had a real affinity for science. I had a real affinity for the human body. Like it really interests me and fascinates me. But I also, just in my personality, like kind of, coming back to problem solving and puzzles and riddles. And I don't know, once I stumbled upon paramedicine, I felt like I had found my thing, because it, you're out working remotely. You've only got so much information to work on to try and figure out what's going on. It's centered around the human body. Like I thought I had found my thing for life.
Oh yeah, it's such an awesome job. Being a paramedic is amazing. It was such a good fit for both of us.
Yeah.
So hard to give up.
Yeah,
I found it hard to give up.
I didn't like, there are bits of it I do miss, but I think too it's like I always had this idea that you had to have like a job with the title, if you like a lawyer, like a paramedic, like a teacher, and it's like, actually this is ticking all those boxes, but adds so much more to my life in terms of like wider, family, balance, working hours, not being accountable to anyone except yourselves. Like,
because night shift is grueling. Yeah.
So I would say all in all, I have no regrets. It's just taken a transition to get to that point.
Yeah, definitely.
I needed a taper off.
A lot about you guys as individuals too, and the complementary skills and things, I think, both from what I wanted to be when I grew up through the whole journey to where you are now as well. Let's say that one of you guys' best friends is starting a business, and what are some of the top advice that you'd give them if they were starting now that you've learned?
Go for it. Yeah. Like, what are you waiting for, kind of thing. But also I would say, like, I know personally I've found it really difficult at times, less now, but in the early years of actually like putting yourselves out there and reaching out and giving things a chance. Like I've always felt like, oh no, they'll think that we're just too small fry, or not, not authorities on this, when actually we probably know more, or as much as anyone does know, about natural cleaning. And we were an authority back then. I just didn't have the confidence to go out and,
you do grow a lot as a person. So I definitely think, hey, if I had a friend who wanted to start a business, it would be absolutely just start, and you will feel your way into it. It will grow, you will evolve, it will be okay. Just
put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah, just maybe don't mortgage the house, but start.
Do some testing at the beginning and see how
do something.
Exactly.
Well, I guess that's exactly the process you guys have gone through, over your growth. You start off small and sort of see how the market responds, and then allows you to grow from there to the point, with the new equipment that you guys have just got in, to that point, and something that you never probably would have even considered when you guys first started. Figgy, so.
No, well, when we first started, we were just doing solely DIY, and we must have done that for about 3 months or so, and then we just had a barrage of people saying, I love it, I love what you're doing, I love the less chemicals, but I don't want to do the mixing up for myself. Either people just were really time poor, like more time poor than we were, or just didn't have the inclination to do it. They just wanted to
too lazy.
have the convenience. And that's cool, but they still love the idea of less chemicals. So and then that was like out of the blue 18 months of R&D for products that were pre-formulated, that were bottled, that were labeled,
that could be shipped, that still held that basic ethos of not putting in extra chemicals in the formulation, you know, because then you've got things about shelf stability and how will it travel, and you know, when they open it up, what would it smell like, you know. So it was a massive unexpected project in its own right.
And we had to decide like what ingredients will be in there and what won't be in there, because there's a lot of ingredients you can put in to make a product look beautiful, you know, all emulsified and bits and pieces, but at the end of the day you will trade off for health benefits. So we went with a formulation that you like, so for example the bench spray, you give it a shake before you spray it, but in order to have like a happy shake event at home without, you know, the bottle leaking, we spent a lot of time finding a trigger that was leak proof, you know. So we support people to have less chemicals by making it easy with the hardware, you know. We really did, and we do continue to try and be very thoughtful in that user experience space.
I think that's pretty evident through your journey as well. When your clients said to you, your customers said to you, hey, we want some ready-made products, you said, okay, cool, how do we do that? And that's allowed you to grow by just listening to your customers, because they've got all the gold for the direction to go next. You don't need to look anywhere else, and I'm sure you get plenty of feedback on the next direction to take on any project that you're working on within the business.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one good example is people have wanted things automated. So we are really close to, and through the help of you guys at Daisy Digital, to be able to launch some subscriptions soon. So watch the space. So we do take feedback on board, and we sit back and think, okay, how can this work so it's good for us, but it's great for the customer.
Absolutely.
Yep, and there's almost always a solution that can work for everybody when you're just listening to what people are saying. It's pretty awesome. So this year's obviously been really strange. I don't know, there's been a lot of, it doesn't matter what business you're in, quick response to really unforeseen circumstances and situations that I don't think anyone was really could prepare for in any sense of the matter. What would be one or two things that you guys have learned during this year about your business or about running a business? Or
it's been a pretty wild ride this year, to be honest. And we've both had some ups and downs. We're quite lucky in that it's not very often that we're both feeling really like down or anxious about the business. We normally bounce.
We usually fluctuate,
bounce off each other.
I come in being like, oh, it's all too hard. It's too hard. You know, she'll pick me back up.
No, it's okay. We'll be all right. Look, here are all the positives. It's fine.
Yeah, and vice versa. I think I have learned patience, like with regard to the business. Like there were weeks there that it just felt like, oh, yeah, this is all too hard. Like it's too unpredictable. Sales are unpredictable. When there's a global pandemic going, do people still care about natural cleaners? Is everyone going to convert to like this high chemical load that actually we know from a science point of view doesn't change?
Well, the only thing that changes, you end up with way more chemicals in your life.
So it was just like learning, like, okay, be patient, like let's ride this out. Things will recalibrate, things will come back to normal. And I think we're finding that now. But I also think we've learned that I think it would have been really easy for say if you'd lost your passion about your business, to maybe use that as a good time to think, okay, maybe it is time to step back or tone things down or shut up shop at the most extreme level. But we never even encountered those thoughts. So that's kind of something I reflected on afterwards, that I was like, oh, like, you know, the love for Figgy's still there.
And if we get a day where there's not too many orders that come in, like Aimme will say, oh, it's a bit of a blessing, we can get on with all of that other stuff that we need to do. The list.
Today is a gift.
It's great. Let's just make the most of it. And we just keep on going.
Yeah, beautiful combination of the natural inclination to pull each other up, which I think even if if somebody comes into work and they're feeling slightly lower than the other person, it actually brings the other person up because they want to bring, so it's positivity all around and pulling each other forward. And no doubt the challenges have been extremely, not something that anybody could prepare for this year. So we just sort of, everybody's dealt with things in different ways, and there's definitely people that, like you say, for you guys it's affirmed that you've still got the passion for what you do, and that's great. And I think you're definitely right, Aimme, when you say that people have used that opportunity to reflect on whether they're doing the right thing and for themselves, and that's only a good thing, I think, for clients and customers and anybody's business to know that everybody's still got the passion for what they do. So it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It peels back those onion layers and just renews you.
Yep. Amongst the stress and the anxiety,
the chaos, and
chaos.
your brain never turning off.
Chaos. Yeah, definitely. On a little bit of a lighter note, what are some of your favorite Instagram accounts?
I like these ones.
Oh, mine are random.
That's good.
All right, so okay, so I have a few like businessy ones that I like to follow. Like I like Wasted NZ. They're a duo that have a real focus on reducing waste and being quite conscious consumers in that manner. I like, there's a lovely little business in Wellington that we've come to know called I Feel Natty. She's Kat. She's hugely creative. She makes all sorts, from like greeting cards to jewelry to tea towels, and she's just got this wit about her designs that I love.
Amazing.
Christmas sorted. Christmas sorted.
Yeah. Well, actually, side note, for my 40th birthday, Aimme actually had Kat doing like a caricature illustration of me from a photo. So it's really special. Yeah.
And on like a personal, non-business level, there's this account that I follow, and his name is Gary Giannetti, I think. And he has got a massive following. And look, he's made a career out of making memes out of the royal family. And it's not like, I like the royals. It's just so witty and so funny. I could scroll his feed for ages and have a good old laugh.
Really cute.
Yeah, what about you?
Oh, I'm so bad with thinking on the spot, to be fair.
Okay.
I love gardening, so I follow Kath Irvine, who's Edible Backyard. She's got an amazing social media presence, actually, and she's just so bloody clever in the garden. She's just a guru. I also I'm quite into like herbal stuff, so I follow an American account called Shares of the Woods, which might be a bit out there, but I love it. And April, who's on that account, she's an American-born but of Irish traveller descent, so she's got a really cool perspective of life. There's a few sewing accounts that I like to follow. Closet Core, which used to be Closet Case Patterns, and Paper Theory, and I don't know. There's just so many awesome.
To sew anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't have much time, but I'm like a voyeur, someone will make something amazing and I'll just daydream. I'm like, oh my God, that jumpsuit, yes. Imagine, I'm doing it up for Christmas Day, and it's like, well, I better have something back up just in case.
Yeah, well, I think that's
we also follow Daisy Digital, and like, this is totally unsolicited. Like I find, I'm laughing, but it's true. Like I find value in everything. I reckon I have seen everything you guys have ever posted or storied, and I just can't get enough. Like
we try to do more, and some days are a bit light on it. We're just like anybody else, but it's our daily commitment. It's to turning up on stories in some way or another. And
please don't stop.
No, don't need it. You need it.
You guys neither. Especially all the beautiful graphics. So anyone that hasn't seen Figgy Co's Instagram feed, go and check it out. It's gorgeous. They have really lovely graphic design going through their feed, and it looks really pretty. And of course they share great tips as well. The content is good.
Aimme, yeah, it's Aimme. Aimme does our social media for the very large part. we have a powwow and we talk about ideas and bits and pieces, but Aimme like brings it together in the analytical scheduled approach that only she is possible of doing. You know, I'm much better to just that ad hoc storying every now and then, whereas Aimme, she, you know, if a post needs to go out or there's a message that needs to be shared, she's the one who's dependable for sure.
Let the people know.
Let the people know.
I feel like you guys are like the perfect combination of businesswoman doing the perfect, you know, activity for your, you know, skills, and a perfect division of labour. Couldn't be better.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does. It certainly feels like that. Like, we are so different, and it works.
And how many years has it been now?
Yin and yang.
We're coming up 6 years, but I would say it's been full time for say 18 months.
Yeah,
loosely.
6 years is pretty
those
exciting.
Few years were kind of, we were serious about it being a business and a shop, but in terms of time to input and development, it was very much on like a hobby scale. So the 6 years is a bit misleading in the true sense of it.
Yeah, we never went and got like a bank loan to start. So we started small, did some trading, reinvested, and that trading and reinvesting was ages. Hey,
yeah, it was a slow burn, but
it's organic.
18 months ago, the big shift for you, was that literally with location, with how you guys approach things, the age of your kids, all of that stuff sort of aligning all at once?
So age of the kids was like a biggie. Like,
William turned 5.
The baby we've got 5 children between us. The baby turned 5. We moved out of Jane's house
like a year ago.
Yeah.
Talk about scope creep. It started in one room, and then poor old hubby had no garage left, and
it also timed in with Jane scaling back and then finishing up her ambulance work, and I was doing some contract work for ambulance as well, and that finished, and I kind of said, that's it, I'm not doing anything else. Figgy is it, let's make it go, let's make it work. So it was multifaceted.
When you commit to moving out of the house too, with something like what you guys do, it's like this is a real massive line in the sand, mentally, more than anything else. Yeah, exactly. Mentally, it changes everything.
It's bloody hard having a business out of your own house, not having that space. Like I would say to Aimme, like, I can't even be domestic in my own house. Like, I finish and I don't really want to do anything in the kitchen. I don't feel like doing any sewing. I don't want to get in the garden. Like, it was just
it's
too many forces. It was just too much. So I feel as though not only did I gain an independent business with its own address, I also gained my house back, you know, when the two were separated. So it's been a lot of big changes, a huge transition for us.
I think a lot of people don't realize the impact that can actually have moving away, that exact same things that you just spoke about. I know I felt myself when I went through that same process, and it's incredibly positive, really positive thing on your whole life, taking that step, I think, for most people. But you hum and ha for so long for a huge variety of reasons, and then you look back and it's one of those things where you're like, oh, no regrets about changing that up and moving into a dedicated space.
Absolutely.
The little things. Well, thanks so much, guys.